Greetings, everybody. It's Damon yet again with a list, and this time it's a redo. I have to redo a video because I've noticed late last night that my ranking the theatrical Batman releases had no sound, so I accidentally muted my video when I did this. So I have to redo that video about my favorite theatrical Batman release. So, without further ado, since the redo, and I'm gonna redo it, I have to rank all the Batman movies that went out in movie theaters. If it didn't, I don't count it. And I have to rank them in terms of basically ascending order from the ones I didn't like at all, the one we call total crap, to the ones I thought were in the middle level, in the middle level of good, to the greatest. So without further ado, the number one, the first, the movie that's a dead last on my list is Batman and Robin. What can I say? You have Chris O'Donnell, you have George Clooney, Academy Award winning George Clooney from Syriana. You have Alicia Silverstone from Clueless and other good movies. Uh, Chris O'Donnell. Yeah, he was. I thought was pretty good as Robin in Batman Forever. I didn't think was good as Batman and Robin. He was basically a parody of Burt Ward's character, but he also played Incentive on Woman, and he did some good roles beforehand. What about Arnold? What else can I say about Arnold? T2, True Lies, Eraser, all the same decade that he does Batman and Robin. And you have Uma Thurman, who comes off great turns from basically, yeah, she had Mad Dog and Glory. Uh, she had Dangerous Liaisons and did Pulp Fiction. She was nominated for the Oscars for Best Supporting Actor as Mia Wallace in Pulp Fiction, one of my favorite movies ever. And then she does that Tripe. That's what that movie is, Tripe. And Michael Gough continues his role and basically was his last time in a Batman movie. He did a whole quadrilogy as well as Pat Ingle was his last time in the movie in as Commissioner Gordon. And they kind of turned Commissioner Gordon into an inept cop. I mean, by the end of the quadrilogy, the only detective work he's ever done successfully is in the first one. The second one is to say, thank you, Batman, for helping us. Like, remember it's a Burton movie, that's what he did. It's like, it's hilarious that he does nothing. It took Chris Nolan's trilogy to actually reestablish Jim Gordon as a competent cop. But anyway, what else can I say about this? Yeah, the ice puns are funny. If you're trying to look at it as a so bad, so good movie, it's good. If you see it as it's not the Burton continuity like I do, I just see it as it's not Burton. It's it's in the Burton verse, it's the Schumacher verse. It's great. If you see that way, it's more tolerable. And I might remind you first, as much as I dislike this movie and the one that's coming up next one, Joel Schumacher is an accomplished filmmaker, so I will basically give some respect with his name. The late great Joel Schumacher. He did Lost Boys. He did Flatliner. He did Falling Down, which is a great movie. Looking back, I mean, it still resonates to this day. And you had basically after this, he did Phone Booth. He did a lot of good movies of the 80s and 2000s you grew up with or you remember that you saw. He just didn't resonate with Batman. It doesn't click with us. And maybe he was still wanting to basically do his vision. So maybe there's a point with Batman Forever that's like, hey, I still want to do my vision. Warner Brothers didn't let me. Or Warner Brothers saw basically darkness with Tim Burton. And you know what? Let's make it lighter. I mean, supposedly Michael Keaton was after they fired Tim Burton, which I thought was really weird. Like they wanted to fire Tim Burton. Don't you want to do a smaller movie? It's like, don't you basically after Ed Wood, like basically, okay. They wanted basically him after Edward Wood. Tim Burton was supposed to come back for the third one. Don't you want to do something else? Which led to Mars Attacks. Again, Mars Attacks is what it represents, not what it is that bothers me. So, yeah. But then Michael Keaton was there on board as well as Rene Russo. And then they said, why does Batman always have to be dark or something? And I'll read there, it's like, seriously, you're saying that to Michael Keaton. You might saying that to him. It's like, are you trying to get him to quit? And he did. And supposedly Val Kilmer and Joel Schumacher, again, both of them RIP. couldn't get along. So yeah, great job there, everybody. Then you have Batman Forever. What is Batman Forever? It's the second one there. It's a movie that I felt was for the 90s, by the 90s, for the 90s, and not for everybody else afterwards. When I saw it in the 90s, I thought it was okay. Like I saw the movie theater in 1995, in June 1995. And I thought it's a movie that did respect Batman, basically at least went back to the lore of basically his one rule, but had some goofiness. Like Val Kilmer in a bat suit smiling like a moron is a meme for a reason because it did not fit the movie. But everything else, I thought Val Kilmer was underrated as a Batman or as a Bruce Wayne. It's not him the problem. It's not Chris O'Donnell, who I thought that's right. I thought he was kind of somewhat a badass as Robin, or heading toward being a badass as Robin. But then you have Tommy Lee Jones, fresh off his Best Supporting Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, sorry. In The Fugitive, he does this. And it's not a complex, nuanced take on the Two-Face like in the Dark Knight. No, it's basically a straight up rip-off from the Joker. If I want to see the Joker in a Tim Burton movie, I would have watched the first one back. And then you have Jim Carrey. Again, Jim Carrey, a very good actor. I mean, oh, he had a decade of greatness. Like from 1990 to maybe 2002, every movie he did was great. Ace Ventura. Ace Ventura 2 I don't like as much, but that's me. The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, Liar Liar, Man on the Moon, Truman Show, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, all in the same night. Sorry, all in the same decade. So, yeah, that'd be the first. That'd be the first movie of Jim Carrey, which I th think does not hold up now. Like the whole movie, the whole humor, the whole tone feels 90s based. It's like it's something that I watched in the 90s and it's okay, but now I watch it, it didn't age well. You ever watch a movie that basically you watched in the 90s or basically a certain decade, but then you watch another decade later, it's like, it didn't age well. What was I thinking? What were they thinking? That's how it feels, you know? So yeah, Michael Goff always does a great job as Batman. Sorry, Michael Goff does a really good job as Alfred. Pan go for what he's given. I also Nicole Kidman in that movie. Like, don't forget, Academy Award winner and nominee Nicole Kidman. She's in the movie, and honestly, her character was the weakest of all Batman's love interest, beside the Ellen McPherson in the Batman Robin. She only exists. She's a doctor. She chased Meriden, and she only exists to call Batman because she has the hots on Batman. She's a doctorate. She's a doctor in psychology. She had a doctorate study. She did a PhD. Nope. I mean, she's a psychologist. She should basically psychologize herself. Why is she attracted to Batman so much? Nope. I thought it was beyond ridiculous. Do I need to say more about that movie? I think I'll pass. Next one. The other one is with the Suicide Squad. No, sorry, Suicide Squad 2016. Talk about a movie that just made for basically that at least Batman Forever. It took like a decade for you to say, yeah, okay. Even then, the way it finishes Batman Forever, if it was the final of that, if it would be the finale of that trilogy, I'd say, you know what? At least this time around, it felt like Batman had hope in his life. It was still dark, but it had hope, you know? Then you have Suicide Squad, a movie about that didn't age well, like after like 1 hour after seeing it. Oh God, what were they going wrong? Oh yeah, yeah, let's make it PG-13. Oh yeah, by the way, it's a Suicide Squad, but it's supposed to be dangerous. Like basically, they're not supposed to all make it. And in that movie, the only people who didn't make it was Slipknot in the beginning, uh, El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez, as a sacrifice. And I think that's it. Everybody else made it. It's like, then what's the point first? Second of all, do I need to mention Jared Leto's Joker? I tried to forget. The worst live action Joker ever. And speaking of somebody who I can't believe still gets Hollywood work, I can't believe that he still gets work, honestly. Every time they put him as a lead, he sucks. Since then, they tried Tron Harris, didn't work. Supposedly he's going to be an E-Man, he's going to be Skeletor, and I'm because I would might be interested in E-Man, but I see that Jared Leto's there and screw him. Uh, what else? Talk about just portrayal of the Joker seems so try hard. And it feels like after here the method is method acting. I don't think you're being method actor. You're just being a creep. And that's for any acting actors. If you think being method actors means being an asshole, then you're a creep. You're doing a movie. I'm not trying to say the process can be hard, but you're doing a movie. You're still damn privileged and entitled if you think when you do this. Because anybody you do this in the street on any other way, any other context, any other work context, you'd be fired without hesitation and have legal ramifications for that. So, so people like Jared Leto needs to understand how much of an asshole he was. And I don't usually use those kind of words on those videos, but yeah, he was an asshole. And when people try to defend, even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, by the way, which is spoiler there, in his post-credit scene, the way he was talking, it's like, oh, he's not as bad as Suicide Squad. Yeah, but you're not supposed to take the Joker. Hey, the acting of the Joker is not as bad as. He had two shots at it. I don't care if most of his scenes were cut. Maybe they were cut for a reason. Maybe it's like David Ayer said, oh God, did I make a mistake? About that. Or maybe the studio. Anyway, but it was good in the movie. I like Will Smith's acting. And Will Smith is a good actor. Despite all of this you heard, it's like, I still like Will Smith. I like Will Smith as an actor. And I grew up with Will Smith. With Fresh Prince, Independence Day, Men in Black, Bad Boys. Used to be a time when Will Smith was a seal of a guarantee of good quality in a movie. It used to be that. Then after it happened. And Margot Robbie was very good as Harley Quinn. And I say Joel Kinnaman, is that his name? I really like as Rick Flag. Jai Courtney actually found the one role that actually couldn't make the movie bomb. But after this, like Viola Davis was very good as Amanda Waller, the real villain of the movie. Not mentioned enough. And trying to think what other positive can I make that movie. Oh wait, none. Okay, let's move on. Next up on that list, what could it be? Uh, I'm trying to think of which movie. Oh yeah, Batman vs Superman, the not the ultimate cut, but the theatrical cut. I have to put it on there, as well as the Justice League. Both of them together. Why Justice League suck and feel like I always felt like Joss Whedon was damn overrated at what he does. He is. If you don't believe so, I mean, let me tell me one thing. Apart from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, an established IP to the 1992 movie, by the way, which one of his shows stayed on the air and wasn't canceled really early on? I'll wait. True Calling was canceled. Serenity was canceled. Firefly was canceled. Dollhouse was canceled. Angel was canceled. Maybe the problem never was with these ideas. It's like the witty banter actually got on people's nerves. It wasn't just the bad times. When I hear, oh, it's bad times that they give to my show, whatever, well, the constant is you. Maybe there's something about you that, well, now we know, but even then, in terms of the writing, gets on people's nerves and becomes cringe. And that's the thing I felt like with Avengers. Even with the Avengers movie, there's sometimes this writing became cringe. It's like not replay worthy. The story was generic, and if it wasn't for the last 45 minutes, I would think it would be a highly overrated movie. It still is, but it would be worst. And he tried to do is Joss Whedon, is Joss Whedon crap. He tried to do it with the Justice League. That's why I said the Justice League. I mean, he tried to take Batman to a barrel of laugh. He tried to turn Wonder Woman as just a mere eye candy, Flash as a screw up. Well, in real life he is, but still, the character is not a screw up. Superman as overly smiley. He's supposed to be cheery, like Christopher Reeves, that's true, but not that smiley in that universe. Steppenwolf into a mere henchman with no purpose, no really development there. Cyborg and Aquaman to the side. And badly wasted J.K. Simmons as Gordon. Like all I see, all in all, It's time to take a movie that's supposed to be complex and try to reduce it to nearly a comedy's length. So screw this guy, and I'm happy that he's not getting work. As far as Batman vs Superman is Zack Snyder, so basically the other director of the other Justice League movie, and I felt like Batman Superman is a movie would have pretty good moments, but it's a hit or miss hit or miss. For every hit, there's a miss. Henry Cavill, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck as Batman is very pretty good and comic book accurate, but to say he's the best Batman ever, when I hear this, like why? He never had a great movie on him. They never gave Ben Affleck a chance to have a great movie. So no, he's honest. Okay, so two. What would be a two? Okay, Jesse Eisenberg. That's really bad as Lex Luthor. Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot should basically be able to have Wonder Woman 3, but no, James Gunn wants to redo everything, and we all know the reason why is because if he didn't direct the movie, it doesn't count. If it was the case, then why isn't Suicide Squad 2021 rebooted, as well as Peacemaker? Yeah, I guess it. Whatever. And it's not gonna get any better with James Gunn at the helm, by the way, if you continue that same direction. Same tactics, same things. Okay? How about you just stick to your own damn story? You don't reboot everything. You just stick to the story, and that's what it is. You're allowed to have misstep. You're allowed to have Iron Man 2. I mean, imagine if they tried to redo Iron Man or the entire MCU because Iron Man 2 sucked, and it kind of did. But imagine if they did, or let's redo Iron Man. No, stick with it. It happens. Learn from it. Why is it so forbidden for anybody to just take a mistake that you did and learn from it and make the next one damn better? That's what they should have done. They should have made Wonder Woman 3 a much better movie than the Wonder Woman 2. But no, let's redo it. It's exhausting just talking about this. And talk about, hey, you know what? Another thing that worked in Batman vs Superman, Jeremy Irons, Scar, Klaus from Reversal of Fortune, or Simon Gruber from Die Hard with a Vengeance, as he plays Alfred, and it works very well. But the underwritten villains in that movie isn't good. The Batman vs. Warehouse scene was badass, as was this fight for 6 minutes. Apart from the Martha thing, which is still hilarious to this day. But overall, and Batman going so against what Batman is. Batman's supposed to be teetotalist, and you see him drink a lot of wine. Batman's supposed to be incapacitating enemies, not eliminate them, and that's what he does in this movie. He does the opposite. It's like Zack Snyder wanted to do the opposite of Batman. So yeah, I felt like Snyder understood Superman, but he did not understand Batman. Anyway, next up on that list, The Flash. I like the movie. It's also a good moments, but let's start with the positive. Michael Keaton is always badass as Batman, and Sasha Calle surprised me, and I felt like she should be the Supergirl. I like the suit, and I felt like, why not? Why couldn't she be Supergirl? She was very, very emotional. She had emotional arc, and I felt like she fit as Supergirl. What I didn't like is the villain Flash movie was basically an older version of himself and General Zod from another movie. It should have been basically like Captain Cold, if not Captain Boomerang, or Reverse Flash, one of the prime Flash villains, and he did nothing. It always got me sad that basically it felt like at the end when basically Flash says Batman, "Hey, I'll get you better. I'll save you another time." No, you already did. It felt like was speaking to the audience saying, "Hey, like in other words, we'll have another Batman movie. You already. I want to take you back for another movie after Batman Returns that you already did, as in this movie." Like it felt like a goodbye to the character, the Keaton Batman, and it sucks. If that's the case, I think it sucks. He deserves one more outing as Batman Beyond because that movie, because bombing that movie, there's no Batman Beyond, and that sucks. Maribel Verbu as the mother was great, was excellent. Ezra Miller, half of him got on my nerves, half of him basically was actually tolerable. The tone was inconsistent, and every time they tried to make something serious, and sometimes they would add a lot of humor. Maybe that's a reason why Flash loved that. Maybe it's a good reason why James Gunn loved it because it was so inconsistent in tone and a lot of badly timed humor. That's maybe why James Gunn thought it was better than any movie, any Batman movie beside Dark Knight. Which in that case, that's bullshit. James Gunn showed his true colors also on Twitter when he hated and hates Batman 89, and he said Batman Begins was barely okay. I dread what he thinks of Dark Knight. He thought probably was just a good movie, probably because it didn't have too much soundtrack and too much humor, too much soundtrack of the 80s like he did. No, humor that's mistoned and basically jokes that will age age badly in like 10 years. Screw you, James Gunn. You know nothing about comic book movies if it's teaming up together. So screw up. So stop it. Go do your Misfits movies. Leave the Superman, the Batmans to everybody else. How about that? And Flash, basically in this case, was misplaced. So now let's go to top tier movies. There, what would be the next one? Oh, I don't know. The Lego Movie and Lego Batman movie. I put them there low because they're low stakes, but Will Arnett as the voice of Batman is excellent, and Zach is good as well. But there's Zoe Kravitz started her reign as Catwoman in this, but Zoe Kravitz always come off as a bit entitled, and I'll tell you later on. But it's a good movie. Michael Cera's Robin was good casting. Ralph Fiennes as Alfred was fun. So yeah, I really like that movie, and everything was awesome. From Lego Movie was also good. Moving on, because now it's really in a good tire. So next up will be Batman 66. What else can I say? I grew up on Adam West as well, and the Piff Poof Bam is hilarious. And Adam West is hilarious without trying. And sometimes when he makes a scene, he plays off as if it was a Shakespeare play, makes me laugh even more. Like people think it's the battles. No, it's basically when you take up something of the riddles of basically what lies on a tree, and basically and Robin's answer was like a sparrow with a machine gun, and it was the answer of the riddle. It makes no sense, but that came up like this for Robin. He was able to solve it like this. Those things are funny, genuinely funny. Or the battle of the cruise ship, basically this, and everybody's going to water. That's hilarious. The anti-shark repellent spray, the running out of Batman to try to protect everybody from catastrophe. It's like, mwah. Anybody complains about this or Batman 66 is not really a Batman fan. It saved Batman comics, and two, yeah, it was goofy, but it needed to be. It's kind of like a love letter to Batman. That's how I always saw it. Now, let's go to the top tier of all of this. I would have Batman Returns the next one. Love the movie. Love Michael Keaton as Batman. I don't care if people say, "Oh, Batman is in this." Yeah, because Batman is always known for having no villains and always about being Batman. Oh wait, it does have villain. And I know Tim Burton prefers villains time, but it's also he developed Batman the first one. So in this case, it's like, okay, cool. I'll spend more time with the bad guys. Penguin, as Danny DeVito plays an excellent Penguin for what he's supposed to be. However, there's some double entendre I didn't like and didn't understand as a kid because English is not my first language. But even then, it seems weird. Like it feels like, okay, why do we need the Penguin to say that? So yeah, Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman was, pun included, perfect. I know she did Basic Fabulous, Breaker Boys, Scarface, Dangerous Minds, but I remember most her mostly for this. Michael Goff and is always great as Alfred, as where Patton goes, even though it was basically an add-on. But it's not mentioned enough that Christopher Walken as Max Schreck is a perfect villain, a perfect antagonist, and even he was well developed, well built. The character was well built. I mean, he's the reason he's tertiary antagonist, but he's the reason why everybody's manipulated that line. He manipulates the Penguin to become mayor while he's distracted with his other quest, and he amplifies his anger by his betrayal and his rejection by the crowd. Well, basically, when he's rejected by a crowd after Batman reveals his true intentions, and Max Shreck just deserts him, like, whatever. That makes Penguin go into full-blown revenge mode. Selina Kyle, when Max Shreck pushes her through the window, he forces her to become Catwoman, and basically that engenders her revenge plot. When basically Max Shreck said there's a power surplus in Gotham, and tries basically to keep the power for him and his textile plans. Bruce Wayne basically decides, I'm going to further investigate Max Shrek, and you could see basically it's a bit more investigated about Max Shrek and everything related to Max Shrek and him and his Oswald partnership, which leads to Bruce Wayne investigating further Oswald and be more of in his ass. So in a way, Max Shrek is the center of all this. And he's played in Christopher Walken way. We all know I'm not gonna do the impression, but we all know this. But it's very fun. I'll be honest, seeing his demise at the end of the movie, seen at the movie theater, I was surprised. I mean, but then again, it's with Tim Burton and Big Eyes. You always see a scene with Big Eyes in Tim Burton movies, which is why the movie Big Eyes surprisingly was maybe like right on the nose for him. Or should say more right on the eyes. But anyway, I really like the movie. The tone was great. The only thing I think it suffers in general is like if there was a third movie on Tim Burton's part and be like with ending as hopeful as the first Batman, Batman 89, maybe it would fit better because there's always in any trilogy, there's always one that is darker than everyone else. And usually it's the second one. Two Towers, Dark Knight, uh, Temple of Doom. There's always like Empire Strikes Back. It's always like the middle one was the darkest. But you need a third one to, hey, will be somber, we'll bring it down the somberness. Not too much, not Schumacher like, but a little bit less, while still have a sense of hope at the end. And there should have been a third one. But yeah, saying all this, I really, really enjoyed this movie. And I also like the fact that every the villains, in a way, they're all basically contraries to what Bruce Wayne Batman is. I mean, Catwoman is basically if Batman existed just for pure vengeance. Basically, it's like an anniversary for Batman. Whereas Penguin is basically an anniversary for the private Bruce Wayne. Both of them technically are orphans, but the point is, Bruce lost his parents through something none of his own, whereas Penguin was rejected by his parents and thrown into the sewer. And that's the equivalent of if Bruce Wayne was a person plotting vengeance against everybody else, was jealous, was basically had a bad upbringing, was abandoned by his own parents. That basically was the equivalent. What if Bruce Wayne was abandoned by his own parents willingly? And then you have Max Shrek, which basically is the contrary to Bruce Wayne's public persona. What if Bruce Wayne was a corrupt billionaire who only cared about power, about money, and didn't care about anybody else? That's basically was. But all in all, a very good movie. But I feel like there's other Batmans that are ranked above. It's like I think it's number 6 or 7 on my list. But the next one is the Batman, the most recent one of the bunch. I was surprised when Robert Pattinson was chosen for the Batman movie, but then I watched the movie and I was surprised how good it was. The movie was good, it was just 30 minutes longer. 30 minutes longer than it needs to be. The last 30 minutes was her hurdle to watch, and I pretend to myself that the movie ended when the Riddler was caught. Because Batman finding the Riddler streamers at the end felt like unnecessary. And the adrenaline they plugged in himself, I thought, what the hell? It's never explained what it is. Even the investigation at the end, oh, but you didn't solve the investigation. It's like, who cares? It felt ridiculous and it felt unwanted. It felt like somebody said, well, you can't end on this. You need to end that movie with basically a big fight scene. That's how I felt. But we're promised a detective movie. Anyway, Colin Farrell was great as Robert De Niro, as the Penguin. Zoe Kravitz was pretty good, but I felt very overrated as Catwoman. And the fact is, basically on the interview rounds, she was basically saying, "Oh, I wish I've been in The Dark Knight Rises, but were refused by Chris Nolan." And I'm thinking, yeah, because you started acting in 2011 and you sucked back then. And you talking about basically, oh, people are against you, lady. You're a nipple baby. Your father is Lenny Kravitz, one of the most well-known musicians in the world. Your mom is Lisa Bonet. You don't get to talk about this. You had more opportunities than anybody. They didn't pick you because you didn't fit the vision. They didn't pick you because, quite frankly, honestly, your agent's not gonna tell you that you sucked back then. So they come up with excuses. Because Juno Temple, yes, British. Maybe that's the point. But more acting practice and more acting experience than you, even for a small role. That's it. Get over yourself. You won. You're Catwoman now. When I hear this, I really hear, where? Nipple baby that cries. If you're in the acting world and you're nipple baby, shut the hell up. You had the part, shut up. Be happy. Anyway, Andy Serkis, aka Gollum, aka Caesar, aka King Kong, the guy who does basically the motion capture king of acting, was Alfred. He was a damn good job. John Turturro as Carmen Falcone, very good. Not my favorite Carmen Falcone, but that's my personal preferences. Okay, and what else? I think about the movie. Robert Pattinson was very good as Batman, not as good as Bruce Wayne. He was when he became Bruce Wayne. Every time I saw it, it's like it felt like a moody teenager. Like you don't know me. I like what basically the twist they made with the Wayne parents, but to me, I think it's a good movie that's overrated. And again, if it had been 2 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes, it might have been in my top four, but it's not because of this. Anyway, now Batman versus the Mask of the Phantasm is up there. Rip R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. And the only reason I put that movie on is it did have a theatrical release. Mark Hamill as the voice of Joker, of course, is iconic. The Phantasm, this, I felt like it's a movie that's similar in a way to Batman Returns. It's very similar. It just doesn't have the 90s basically double entendre stuff crap that you don't want to have in a movie. So, but it's very similar, very good, and both of them I think were really funny enough. Batman Returns was released in June, but at a Christmas theme, whereas Batman Mask of the Phantasm was released around Christmas time. Think about that. Anyway, it was good, it was pretty good, but yeah. So now we're going to go to the top tier of Batman movies. Oh, I forgot that just the Zack Snyder's Justice League would have been around. I would have placed it around just above Lego Movie because it was pretty good, but it was 4 hours long and it should have been like 3 hours. Like it was 1 hour just slow mo. But yeah, Cyborg was really badass in this one. The humor was well placed, and Steppenwolf to me was very well done. So that's all I can say about that. Now let's go back to I think it's number four. I would put Batman Begins here. Yeah, that's right. I'm one of the most diehard fan of the Dark Knight trilogy, but we'll put it here. I was expecting nothing in 2005 when I saw the movie. It's like, here you go again, another Batman movie. I'm curious because it's actually a reboot, but it's not gonna be as good as Batman '89. It can I prefer Batman '89, but say it was no good. It's like, it's to be honest, it's like, did I watch a movie? It was damn good. Christian Bale as Batman was an inspired pick, and it's the one movie of Batman where I felt it focused more on Bruce Wayne and Batman than the rest, and it need to. And at Ra's al Ghul, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, it was Henry the Carter, but really Ra's al Ghul was a great swerve for a movie. I didn't expect that. I expected Ken Watanabe to just be Ra's al Ghul, but it wasn't the case. But yeah, what else can I say? Rachel Dawes, Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes was the weakest link of the movie, but weakest link. Wasn't saying bad. Just compared to all those great actors, she was good. She wasn't great. Cillian Murphy was great as the Scarecrow. My favorite Carmine Falcone was indeed the late great Tom Wilkinson. R.I.P. I'm trying to see what basically. Oh yeah, Gary Oldman was great as Jim Gordon. He rebuilt Jim Gordon as cop from basically he started basically the movie as uh basically a detective, then became at the end of the movies Lieutenant Gordon. So you could see his rise among the police ranks already done. Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox was awesome, and Michael Caine as Alfred was awesome as well. Like the bond between Bruce and Alfred, I thought sometimes was not well explored just into that in other Batman movies. This one it did. Alfred did not could stand up to his own employer slash basically surrogate son. He stood up like this. He didn't give a crap. Like he could basically like, yeah, I could be fired then, but he didn't care because he just saw him more than an employee. He saw him as a son. And I thought that bond was very important. And the fact is, you have to build Bruce Wayne to care about when he puts on the cowl, and that's why I feel they did well there. Damn good. Number three, I have to put Batman '89 here. Sure, Batman Begins a better origins, but this one didn't want to go through the origins. And I love the movie. The introduction of Batman is like, I'm Batman. So the iconic this and back in the days, people would complain of Michael Keaton just after release of shooting and filming Beetlejuice with Tim Burton as their movie director was going to be the next Batman. Look what happened now. He's seen by many as the definitive Batman on screen. Let's not forget that basically when they released the movie, it was Jack Nicholson, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was second billing. He's Batman in the movie. It was excellent, but he didn't play Batman like Christian Bale. The person of Batman of Bruce Wayne was not played like like Christian Bale. It was played off as aloof, like he's out of this world. Like basically, he doesn't know what's going on. He does have a private Bruce Wayne that they're not touching upon just a little bit from time to time. And then there's basically the Batman person. Yeah, it was very good. He's played damn well. Jack Nicholson, what can I say about Jack Nicholson's Napier? Jack the Napier slash Joker. Awesome. And there's a bit of, hey, he's funny, and he's doing Jack Nicholson stuff, but at the same time, he's menacing and you don't know what's going on. Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale was very good. I forgot another mention, like Robert Hull as Alexander Knox sometimes steals his show. He's very good, and I'm surprised. Should have been a sequel, at least in Batman. If there's a Batman Beyond movie, I would put him in. No questions asked. Was very funny, was very sympathetic, and it's like you grow for this. But let's mention Bob the Goon. I had an action figure of Bob the Goon back in the day, and you expect, hey, he's not in comics, whatever. But Joker, and by proxy, Tim Burton got another Bob over twice. He did it twice. He did it in there, and he did Beetlejuice. Tim Burton knows how to get Bob over, brother. But yeah, Commissioner Gordon, the best detective work. I think the only detective work they did in the old quadrilogy there. Michael Goff as Alfred is excellent. So yeah, and I love the movie, and I love the soundtrack. The Danny Elfman stuff cannot be like Danny Elfman really, really went above and beyond what he usually does, and it's saying something because what he usually does is damn good. So imagine that. Anyway, number two is The Dark Knight Rises. Now, people can say, oh, whatever, we don't like this movie. The revision story about this is so stupid. Most people love the movie, and if they didn't, then why is it rated 87% by critic on Rotten Tomatoes and 90% by audience? Because most people either love it or at least really like it. It's just not as good as the number one pick there. That's true, but it's always a peak in any trilogy. In this case, it was slightly lower than a peak, and the supposed plot hole is just people not listening or not paying attention to the same movies I watch. Christian Bale is awesome as Batman. Marion Cotillard as Miranda Tate slash Talia al Ghul. Yeah, that was one of the worst movie reveals and one of the worst movie dead as well. But I don't blame Talia. I don't blame Marion Cotillard. I blame the fact that, hey, you know what? Maybe that's a take they use because Marion Cotillard has shot other takes, but Nolan chose that one. And Marion Cotillard either finished a pregnancy or was like several months into her pregnancy, so I can't blame her either way. Gary Oldman, excellent as Commissioner Gordon. Anna Way as Catwoman, the second best live action Catwoman I've ever seen. That's right, I'll say it. And what else can I was Michael Caine's acting was heartbreaking at times, and you felt for his Alfred that he saw Batman as a son, but he also saw here Batman. And basically, the reason why he gave up on Alfred on Bruce Wayne is because Alfred saw Bruce Wayne trying to go back to Batman, not for the right reasons. He's just trying to meet his end as Batman because he saw everything else in his life go away. So apart from at the end of the movie, he's suited. Apart from that, in this movie, Batman's initially suited up as Batman, not because he wants to help people, because he wanted to meet his end. That's why he basically gave up something, basically because he thought that's the only way he listened. And it took him getting his back broken by Bane to understand that's what he did. As long as he has this desperation on his face, on his mind, he's not going to be the Batman, the efficient Batman he needs to be. And that's why at the end he wants to redo it like one more time. I'm going to want to be Batman, but for the right reasons. And he does. And maybe he didn't punch the mask over Bane because he was desperate. He was arrogant, thinking he's going to beat anybody after not being Batman for 8 years. That was the point. That's the same thing as in Rocky 3. Yeah, there's a Rocky 3 basically similarity with Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, so what? I loved Rocky 3. And it's not the first time that you see in the last chapter of a trilogy of a series that basically the hero becomes a bit arrogant. I'm just going to take care of this like I used to, except you can't like he used to. And also Bruce Wayne, I think the reason why he was hurt for 8 years because he stopped being Batman for 8 years. You see it with sports anyway. Many people, it's like actors, wrestlers, sports athletes. It's like they're injured, but they keep sucking up and keep trucking and don't feel the injury until many years or many months where they stop using said muscles. This is when it hurts. That's how I felt. Like maybe he didn't feel he was on adrenaline mode because he's being Batman, but the moment he's no longer Batman, he's not being active, he doesn't go to the gym, it's like, oh, now it hurts. That's how I feel. But I also feel he hurts because his purpose of Bruce Wayne died the moment Rachel died. It felt like, what is there for me to accomplish except for this? Like, what is there out there for me? So psychological and physical pain. So maybe the brace helped. I don't think it took away the whole thing, but I think as long as he has the brace, he didn't feel it as much. Anyway, all in all, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a great Robin. Well, I don't think he'd be Robin. I think he'd be no more Nightwing at the end. Tom Hardy as Bane was basically great. It was so menacing, so great. It was a great. It's a different kind of villain as a different kind of villain from the Joker. Nestor Carbonell as the mayor, I always felt was very good. Understated. What else can I mention from that movie? Mentioned Tom Hardy. Uh, Lucius Fox was very good as fun. And yeah, I'm trying to see everything else. And I love the new Bat, and I love the callback. It's like it's a new. I just took to call it the Bat. And yes, Mr. Wayne comes in black. I was laughing in the movie theater like I referenced the first one. The only thing I guess I drawback to this is the first Batman movie, which I felt in that trilogy that you can't watch by itself. You need to have watched the first one to understand better. You need the second one maybe. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, you can basically pop it in, not watch anything else, and they feel more standalone. That's my issue with this. That's it. And number one, as you probably guessed, is The Dark Knight. What else can I say about the movie? Heath Ledger as Joker is phenomenal, and you always riveted every time he's on screen. The whole thing with the hospital blowing up and going like this, I was laughing in the movie theater every time. And it's like you're both riveted, you're both afraid of, terrified by what he does, and you're still laughing. I mean, the pencil trick. Every time I went to see a movie 5 times movie theaters. Every time you heard, every time he did a pencil trick. Aaron Eckhart as the Two-Face was awesome. I think he's not talked enough about. About Eric Roberts as Sal Maroni, pretty good as well. Not mentioned enough, as well as Richard, basically his associate. Not mentioned enough. Michael J. White as Gamble was fun, and the fact that he said enough with the clown, it felt like a Spawn reference there. Awesome. I felt Maggie Gyllenhaal was a better Rachel Dawes. And she made Rachel Dawes seem more wishy-washy in Batman Begins. She made her more relatable in the second one, and you could see why. She was more grounded. I felt like she was more multifaceted in this one. You didn't see her as a bad guy for no one to be with Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne said, I'll be with her when I'm no longer Batman. And you could understand that from her point of view, she can't wait that long forever. So yeah, Harvey Dent was very sympathetic and could see why she chose Harvey Dent over him. Because Harvey Dent could basically was able to turn the switch off most of the time, whereas Bruce couldn't. Alfred was very fatherly in that movie, and I thought very good. As well as Gary Oldman as basically now Commissioner Gordon, and I felt like it was great. Nestor Carbonell as the mayor, very good as well. What else can I say about this movie? I love that movie. I rewatch this movie and the entire trilogy every year. And every time I come up with something new about it. I love Dark Knight trilogy, but Dark Knight is my favorite Batman movie of all time. Let me know what you think down below. I know it's a redo. I have to end it there. See you later, guys. Bye.